latest edition of Silicon Grapevine. For this episode, I'm here in London, in the heart of London, talking to Heba Bevan, who's founder and CEO of Utterberry. Heba, hello.
Hello. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, well, pleasure having you. I've heard so much about you from people, so I thought we should get you on the show. So, Heba, tell me, before we go into your journey and what sort of turns you on in terms of work or life, tell me a little bit about Utterberry. It's been going for about 11 years, you said. I haven't come across it before. I think the first time I came across it when we met at a networking function, I think it was in part of London Tech Week.
Yes. So Alterberry spun out of Cambridge University 11 years ago, back in 2013. And we monitor major infrastructures. We design low-power wireless sensor network with artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we are in our factory in the heart of Leeds and our innovation hub as well in the heart of Leeds, but our headquarters in London. So we've been in London for nearly 11 years, monitoring some of the amazing infrastructure like Tower Bridge, Vauxhall Bridge, Blackfriars. We monitor Moorgate, Liverpool Street Station, Farringdon, Barbican, and that is during Crossrail built for the Elizabethan line, and as well during Tideway Tunnel, the construction of that. And we don't do just national basically project, we do international. So we work as well with Singapore, we work as well in Australia, in Hong Kong. We did quite a big piece as well with the Welsh government and with DCMS, where we provided our technology to farmers, as well to tourism and to transportation. And the sensor provides us with huge amount of measurement and data, enable us to kind of aggregate the data and understand what's happening, and as well enable us to predict how and what should we do if something happens.
Now, when you say monitoring, what exactly are you monitoring? Yeah, I mean,
so various elements, any physical movement. So that could be displacement in X, Y, and Z, acceleration. We have a gyroscope. We do have a pressure, illumination, which is the light, temperature, humidity, pressures, and as well some gases. We do work as well with sport, big arena, like we worked on a piece with Ascot, with the Royal Enclosure, where we monitor the crowd and number of people going in Royal Enclosure in certain areas, and how that affecting the structures. We did work on stadiums for how them bouncing up and down could affect the structures and the degradation of that structure. As well, how can you make sure and ensure the crowd mobility in certain area, it could be enhanced, and they provided what the people need in a plaza, exit and entrance throughout the venue.
Now, did this come out from work you were doing at university? Was it later? I mean, what gave you the idea? And did it fall into the application of infrastructure, or did you start with designing something and think, where do we put it?
It actually started during my Ph.D. at Cambridge. So while I was doing my Ph.D. And we were working very closely with the CSIC, which is Center for Smart Infrastructure at Cambridge, where it was head at the time by Lord Robert Mill. We had an access to the Elizabethan line for the construction site. And one of the amazing pieces, it was the post office tunnel. So it was our laboratory. It was my laboratory for every Tuesday and a Friday. So I would go in nearly 300 steps down in Liverpool.
And you had to walk down.
Yes, we had to walk down to Liverpool Street, actually. And it's an amazing tunnel. It's very confined space. It's about 2 meters in diameter. Everything is cast iron, is made by hand, and you could see the engineering on that structure and how that is maintained by keeping it, making sure it doesn't get too much water. It's is maintained by our government actually, and I suggested a few times they should convert it to a cycle lane, because it was phosphorus tunnel. It was built during World War One. It was finished before World War II, and it was used for transporting post.
Right. Yes.
And it's fascinating structure.
And so then that sort of evolved into you
Monitoring it. So we needed a way to monitor a very tricky structure, because it was formed by 6 flanges and a key, and each flange is a cast iron. So it's a brittle kind of cast iron. So any deterioration within that infrastructure is a quite worrying, especially the cross rail. It was constructed actually just underneath it directly, and between the 2 tunnels, especially in around Liverpool Street Station, is less than a foot.
Right.
So you have, if you could imagine, a cast iron tunnel, and if I am standing, I'm hitting my flanges, which is basically the top of that tunnel, and this is a cast iron tunnel. Underneath it, a massive tunnel where equivalent of 3 double-decker buses stacked on top of each other, and is a new concrete, spray concrete lining, where tunneling boring machine, it goes in, breaking into the earth, and then you spray it. And we have to monitor every sub-millimeter to make sure that structure stays together.
Wow. Okay. And so then that turned into you doing more projects, and then
Yes.
became, okay,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Now, I think in our talk before, you said, one of your fascinations is bridges and tunnels.
Yeah.
So it's like, did your fascination with bridges and tunnels, did that come first, or was it after you started doing all this work?
I think probably it's a combination. I always loved height, and I always loved going into tunnels, and I find them, it's an amazing different spaces, and how the engineering work and enabling us to have an amazing way transportation, getting us from A to B in a faster way. But my background, I'm electronics and computer engineer.
Yes.
So I started as an electronics and computer engineer at ARM during my undergrad, and I worked for them for over 8, nearly 9 years. And
you were on a very significant team, weren't you?
yes, I was, well, for a while, I started in a team called Trace and Targeting, which is, if we go really, really back into my first year of engineering.
So what year was that?
So 2002.
2002, yes.
So 2002, between 2001 and 2002, when I started my undergrad, but 2002, my professor, Andy Terrell, which is head of AI, he actually saw me filling up basically application for summer work. And I had over 50 rejection at that summer, and I was filling up another one, and he said to me, "Oh, we just got ARM needing some summer students." And I thought, who are they? That's number one. And the second, where are they?
You know, they just IPO'd.
Yes, yeah.
That was the first IPO in 2000-ish, 99, 2000, yeah.
Yeah, so it was, so I was like, who are they, and where are they based? And I did apply. I remember going in, and there is a full room of students applying for summer job, and we had to meet up with various different departments. But I was lucky that my CV was picked up by various departments.
Very good.
And I did finish my interview quite late, and I thought I did really bad that they kept me so late. So I think I started around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then I finished around 8 p.m., where I missed my my train. And I remember the last person who interviewed me, he said to me, "Oh, we need to pay you extra for coming in, and I would like to pay your dinner as well. And I thought, oh, that's a nice way to say, no, we're not going to accept you. So I thought, I'm not getting in. And the week after, I was walking in shambles in York, in the street, looking at the jobs for the summer. And I got a call, and they said, you've got 13 offers from 13 different departments.
Within ARM?
Within ARM.
Wow.
But the trace and targeting group, Brian Clark, he said you would be a great fit within the team. And as I celebrate of buying new heels, I did go in and bought a new heels. Then I started in ARM with the trace and targeting. Then the next summer, they kept me during every single holiday. So I was working there during Easter holiday, Christmas holiday, and in between. And then joined the CPU department. So I was started in the CPU department before I finished my undergrad. And by the time I finished my undergrad, I was in what they used to call it, it's ARM 3 in the top floor. And in the top floor, there were a special R&D team. So I was working with very small R&D team on a new CPU, which is the Cortex.
Yes.
And at that time, we didn't have a name, because if you know the story of ARM, odd numbers are lucky numbers, positive numbers are unlucky numbers.
Yes, I don't know, 3 to 7, to 5 to 7 to 9, yes.
Yes, yeah. So the good one, ARM 7, of course, is very famous architecture. Then ARM 9, it was amazing architecture. ARM 8 was kind of a disaster. ARM 10, probably, I'm not sure. And then ARM 11, it was great with the Thumb 2 and Trust Zone technology. Then we didn't want ARM 12 and we didn't want ARM 13. So that what became the family of Cortex.
Got it. So you're one of the team working on Cortex.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was working on something, well, it's a whole entire team, but I was working on specifically something called cycle accuracy and cycle approximate, where you enable software engineers to build their software before the silicon get manufactured.
Which is kind of what people are trying to do today as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
good. So tell us, I mean, what sort of got you into studying, well, even into the industry, interest in the industry in electronics, because you did an electronics degree. But before that, where did the interest or passion come?
Well, I love, if people know me, I love fashion. I used to love designing. Both of my parents are basically professors and are academic. My father, he's a mechanical engineer and he is a professor, but I remember all of the summer he would be tinkering in his on his car, and my sister and I, we were tinkering on the the video sets and the cassettes, trying
VHS recorders
and trying to make sure it's working and break them and work them. And of course, we were fortunate enough to have a lot of Lego as well as a kids. But I don't think I wanted to become an engineer until my sister, she said to me, don't go for computer science, you are very hands-on. So electronics and computer engineering. So that's what.
And that was at Cambridge?
No, I started at York actually.
York, okay. Yeah. But then you ended up in Cambridge.
I ended up in Cambridge, yes.
Yeah, and good. And what are the things, I think, when you started Utterberry, I think you've grown that and you've grown that into a successful business. What have you seen as your personal challenges and also as well as work challenges? And did you have people who are like mentors or role models or people that helped you along the way?
Oh, definitely. So I'm still in contact with the Tudor Brown, which is one of the founders of ARM.
Yeah.
I give him a call every so often. He gives me a call every so often.
Say hi, Tudor.
Hi, Tudor. I'm still in contact with the people I worked with in the US from ARM. Phil Jones, Mike DeMello, which is they still basically, and it's nice to catch up with them on various aspects. But in terms of even people in Cambridge, like Professor David Cardwell or Lord Robert Min and Andy Turrell, which is I meet quite on a regular, David Howard, and Stevie Smith. So these are professors, which is we often talk about the new technologies, or and Alterberry, actually we work with universities quite a lot. So it's nice to see the people I worked with even 20 years ago, they still today, and I'm continuing working with them in a different aspect. So we're looking at different research, different expansion within Alterberry, and it's great even hiring certain students. And the same thing that they believed in me, and they gave me a push, which is you need in our environment somebody to believe in you and push you there. And we are fortunate enough, and I'm fortunate enough to know these people, because even talking to them sparks certain aspects.
And what excites you today about the world, the technology? What's the thing that excites you most about what you're doing and also the world?
What excites me, I think engineering has a prospect to change, especially AI. I think we're going to see massive changes. We are seeing it slowly, and probably people are expecting it to happen tomorrow. I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow, but definitely within the next 5 to 10 years, massive changes, even on the job aspect, how we do things, is going to be changed. Engineering is going to be embedded in every single aspect of it. It already is in terms of the machine that we are using, even the operation theaters that is being operating in a human, the scans, that is taking various scans. And engineering is going to play a bigger role with that. And for us who are working especially on AI and machine learning, certain decisions it need to be focused on how can that help, not hinder certain aspect of different research, opening different avenues for employment, various streams on expanding how we do things in more efficient way, but as well in very sustainable way.
Right, and you do a lot of other work, because I mean your role as a role model for other engineers and as well as female engineers. I think I've seen you've done quite a lot of other work to encourage engineering, haven't you?
Well, I'm a STEM ambassador. I think it was recently is very very kind of emotional for me. Last week I got my honorary Ph.D. from York.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And just being there, I didn't think it's going to be emotional to be there. But I remember when I graduated, I was the only female. Right. And it was very, very nice to see other females graduating during the ceremony. And it was very kind of humbling as well to see things is moving in the right direction and is not forced. The problem is when people say we need more engineers in our environment, especially female engineers. I totally agree and I totally support it. And I think, especially in AI, we need actually every single gender and every single tradition and every single aspect into it. We need all of us to be part of that decision. And be part of it, because if you take certain bias, it becomes a standalone, especially within certain decision making. And having the kind of different qualities and different attribute and background is essential. And how even the ethical things that we think, some people think that it's not ethical, some people think it's ethical. So what we actually consider the way we set triggers, and If it's harmful for anybody, should be a no. It's automatic no. If it's not harmful, where would you draw that line?
Yeah.
And that line, it should be based on different opinion, not just one opinion.
And as a STEM ambassador, what are the things that you see as biggest pushbacks from students or people considering careers in engineering?
I think for females, it's always engineering is being looked at. It's not because the capability, because if we look at math and science in general, females actually during A-levels, they are way ahead than boys, even in their GCSEs. So it's not the lack of them not doing the STEM subjects. I think the lack of that, and if you look at the medical school, which is require math and chemistry and another science, sometimes biology or physics, for them, you've got more higher caliber of student female rather than a male. Law, the same things. You've got more female applying to law than a male. But when you see engineering, I think the thing is, everybody think about engineering in a 3Ds. It's dangerous, it's dirty, and it's dull. It's something repetitive. But as actually is not. It's often, we are working in super clean environment, in a very nice buildings, on our computer, and we're making a huge amount of changes. We are designing chips and programs that it tells us every single piece of data that we need, and we are in one room. And we could actually go into amazing infrastructure, amazing areas, and explore the artistic and the incredible engineering around it, being in a space and in that part. So I think the way we need to have our perception on engineering and how we've got the mindsets that need to change. Really.
Interesting. What are your passions outside of work? What do you do?
Probably too many things. I love. Sometimes, if I have time, I do love cooking, and my cooking is quite kind of international. I don't follow one part. And during COVID, my husband introduced me to spices, so I love cooking with different, especially spicy food.
That's good.
As well, I do love art, going to museums. V&A is one of my favorite museums to go to, usually even just to look around and have a tour. Structures, I love heritage buildings and listed buildings.
So London is good for that.
Yes.
So, well, not a lot of England, actually. England, Europe.
Yes. Yeah. It's. I think the whole entire Europe, especially small areas, are fascinating. It's incredible.
And what do you see? I mean, what's next for you, for Heba? I mean, Utterberry's got to grow still, and then you've got to do lots of other things, or are there other things that you want to try and accumulate in terms of your legacy?
Well, and I don't think it's legacy. It's the whole entirety. Alterra is not just Heba. It's actually probably I put the seed, but the whole entire plant is my team. It's the way they actually work with me, and they think different than I do in some parts. So if there's anything, I always said, do not hire yourself. And don't hire people similar to you, because you need a different experience from different team member. And I think my team bring in different experience and different expertise, and that put us all together as a unity. Yeah, Alterra is still very small. We definitely would like to be up there, being one of the largest corporation, and of course we are hoping for getting listed and growing year on year. So who knows?
Who knows? And tell me, what would you tell a young Heba, knowing what you know now, in terms of your advice to her or others like her?
So I do have a younger daughter, which is she's 13, and she loves math and she loves art. And I always tell her, don't take things for granted. If an opportunity comes in, they don't come very often. do not stop when you get your first no. Just continue, because you're going to hear too many no's until you get a yes. And there's so many doors will be closed before one is open. But as well, be grateful for the people around you, people who supported you, and people who is going to support you in that journey, and people who believes in you. Stick with them, because they will be a push in a way in the right direction to you.
Well, Heba, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.